Our next speaker will talk about STOs, and more specifically will address an issue that is challenging the growth of this sector, regulations. So I'd like to invite Lutz Offenberg, founder of FinLaw, to the stage.
Many thanks, Michael. Thank you very much. And thank you all for being here as well. I know it's really late. I would rather hit the whiskey bar, and thank you very much for staying with us. But our topic is very interesting as well. As you see, the topic is security token offerings in the European Union based on a Bafin-approved prospectus. So, as you might have heard, earlier this year, in February 2019, Bafin approved the first prospectus for a security token in Germany. That is interesting because it's really the first project that had been realized. So you can now officially invest in a security token in Germany, completely regulated, with a full prospectus where you can see what you are purchasing. So asking the question what a security token offering is, I would rather say it's the mature form of initial coin offerings, which are pretty much dead. But the security token offerings, everyone speaks about that actually in the moment. So this, if you ask me, is the new big thing on capital markets when it comes to blockchain solutions and blockchain funding methods. So what is security token offering? Have you all heard this term? Yeah? Everyone knows it? Okay. However, I will give you a short introduction, just really a short overview about what a security token offering is. So, as I already said, it's a modern funding method by the issuance of units of account in the sense that they are standardized. Yeah? So every unit named token is exactly the same as the other ones, and you issue it through a smart contract, mostly on a blockchain. Not necessarily, you can just create a blockchain and program these standardized units, the tokens, directly into that blockchain, but mostly you will use a blockchain platform like, for example, Ethereum, EOS, Neo, Stellar, something like that, to issue your tokens on that blockchain. And then the interesting thing about this and the difference to initial coin offerings is that these tokens are associated with security-like features, like, for example, the payment of an interest rate annually, fixed or variable, no problem, or profit participations, for example, once a year, 4 times a year, whatever you want. Yeah? So once you associate those kind of rights to a token, we are talking about securities. Yeah? It's debt raising. So this leads us to the fact that those tokens are no longer simple ICO tokens, which are not regulated, but, and that is what Bafin, the German financial watchdog, already stated quite early, these tokens will have to be qualified as securities under the German securities regulation and as well under the European securities regulation. So you have quite a bunch of rules you have to comply with if you want to do that. It's all possible if you know the correct advisors, but still it's not as easy as it was when collecting funds through ICOs anymore. However, this is the mature form of ICOs, I would say. Okay, so I'm really sorry. This is really a lawyer slide. I don't have the view for good fancy slides, but never mind. Okay, so advantages of security token offerings over traditional securities. So why would I do that if the regulation is really the same as for securities in paper form or traditionally issued securities? Why would I, as an issuer, want to create a security token and then have the issuance over a blockchain solution? Well, the thing is that given that you create the smart contract, the offering will completely be automated. Yeah, so you can just create the smart contract, which will then take care of the creation of the tokens, the payment, the deliverance of the tokens, the performance during the lifetime of the security as well, and very interesting as well, the tokens can be stored directly into investor wallets or in wallets which are held by the issuer. So you don't need a custodian bank so far. Yeah, still a topic which remains interesting because all over Europe we are actually currently discussing if a CSD should also take care of security tokens and would have to store them. But so far, we do not need a custodian bank or a CSD for them. Yeah, so this is really give the tokens, give the securities to the people. Yeah, so it's direct. And yeah, the performance, as I already said, is completely automated during the lifetime. So the P2P securities issuance, also on the second market, of course, is very good. So once I have a security token, I can just transfer it to any one of you in the room if you want to acquire it. And the good thing is that the issuer will know who exactly the investor at this very moment will be, as the information of the ownership is documented in the blockchain. Yeah, so it's completely transparent. And of course, this is very important for a security because it wouldn't work if the issuer would not know who exactly the investor is. Yeah. Good. So, given that we are talking about securities just in a digital blockchain-based form, we have to talk about the regulation of securities and security offerings in the European Union, because those are the rules which apply. Most important point you should know is that the rules for securities offerings in the European Union are completely harmonized. So we have the European Prospectus regulation, which is directly applicable all over Europe, so in every single member state. And so the rules on issuing securities, on publicly offering securities, as well as the concrete form of the design of a prospectus to be issued, these rules are completely the same all over Europe in the EU prospectus regulation, which already exists since 2003, but it will in very close future be repealed and fully replaced by a revised version, which is then the new one. Some more rules, but nothing problematic. Just a new version. Don't want to go into details here. So, and this EU prospectus regulation, of course, is directly applicable within the member states, as I already said. So, you have standardized and identical regulation on public securities offerings in all member states of the European Union. With that being said, the question remains, what exactly are securities? Because when talking about securities offerings or security token offerings, of course, this would only be applicable if security tokens are qualified as securities under the EU prospectus regulation. So the regulation itself simply states that securities are what is qualified as securities under the MiFID II regulation. Yeah? And in the MiFID II regulation, Markets in Financial Instruments Directive, it says, roughly speaking, all shares, bonds, securitized debt, options on such instruments, everything that is negotiable on the capital markets without limitations is a security in the sense of the law, yeah, in the sense of the European law. So, interesting to know, the European regulation does not foresee any paper form for securities. Yeah, in other member states, in Germany, for example, we still rely, when it comes to private law especially, we still rely on the paper form. We used to, yeah, from the law perspective. But this law here the European rules do not foresee any paper form requirement. Yeah? So security tokens issued on a blockchain solution may qualify as security as well. And that is exactly what the European regulators and the ESMA especially states as well. And therefore, Bafin, the German regulator or regulatory body, holds the same view, which is why they approved the first Bafin prospectus for a security token in February. Okay, so with that being said, you can do that in Germany. Yeah, you can just create your security token and then sell it to the people. Once you have drafted and fully designed a compliant prospectus for those security tokens. And then, but this is not the end of the story. The most interesting thing about this is that you have, under European law, the possibility to passport this this prospectus to other member states of the European Union, which means that you really have the possibility to do that with Bafin in Germany. Yeah, just draft your prospectus, have it approved, and then simply go through the notification procedure, which means you give notification to each competent authority of the member states where you want to offer your security tokens as well within the European Union, and to ESMA, the European Securities and Markets Authority. And then you can just, upon this approval, which really takes just a few days, offer it all over Europe, yeah, which is really a big thing. Okay, so now you know that in Europe you can issue your security tokens and have a fully compliant security prospectus, not only if you have a German entity, yeah, if you are a company from Germany, but you can also come from abroad, then set up just a SPV, yeah, and have the issuance of securities token, the security token offerings through that entity, and have a German prospectus, no problem. So, how to build a proper security token and how to build a proper security token offering. First of all, let's take a look at what exactly has to be included, which information has to be included into the prospectus. First of all, in the very beginning, you will have to issue a summary of the prospectus, which just summarizes what exactly the information in the prospectus will look like, and just to give the major information for the investor if he doesn't want to read the whole thing. This is the one part of the prospectus which should be in English if you want to use the European passport, because that part of the prospectus has to be at least in English or in the language of the member state where you want to go to. Yeah? The rest can still be in German or in English or whatever. We will come back to that later. And for the other information to be included, you will have to include some information about the major risks associated with the issuer, as well as risks associated with the security itself, of course. Yeah. So how is the legal design of the security token? What happens if you transfer it? Will your rights be transferred as well with the token, and how does that legally work? Yeah. Information on the issuer, financial figures, information about the shareholder, did they commit any crimes so far, or are they reliable, and so on. Register information, the prospects of the company, trends of the industry you work in, and so on and so on. So that is pretty much the information you have to put into the prospectus. So, coming back to the language, which language should you choose? And actually there are three different situations. The first one would be if you want only to issue your security token in the member state of the issuer, which would be, for example, if you are in Cyprus, a Cypriotic entity, which would then be Cyprus. So The language to use would then be home member state language, which would be Greek here. Yeah? So next scenario would be one or more member states excluding the member state of the issuer. So if you are a Cyprus company, but you don't want to sell your security tokens in Cyprus, but only in Germany, France, Italy, Spain, and so on, then the language accepted by those member states, yeah, which would be quite a lot of work, or you can also choose a language customary in the sphere of international finance, which is English in most cases. Yeah, so just draft the prospectus in English and everything will be fine. Or the third scenario would be one or more member states, including the home member state of the issuer. So in that scenario, for example, if you come from Greece, you will have to draft the prospectus in Greek, because it's the home member state's language, and the language accepted by the competent authorities of the other states you want to address, or English again. Yeah. So best thing you can do whenever you want to use the European passport, just draft it in English. Okay, so besides the security prospectus, which is here the fourth point, what other legal documents do you need to draft when doing this? Yeah, so first of all, of course, you will have to draft token terms. What exactly is the security behind the token? How does that work? What rights has the investor? What rights has the issuer? What is the runtime of the security? And of course, a very important point, a consistent connection of rights, of the investor rights, to the token, just to make sure that once the token is transferred to another investor, the rights are still associated with the token. Yeah? That really has to be absolutely clear. Because if not, it may happen that the token is somewhere and the rights, the security rights of the investor remain with the old person, yeah, with the old investor. So the legal mechanism of token transfer is something you have to include in the token terms as well. That's legal work. You don't have to solve those problems, but that is what I would do. Second will be the terms of token sale, of course. So there you will have to state what is the date of the offering, how does the offering work, are there discounts, bonuses, everything possible. Legal mechanism of primary token acquisition, yeah, how does that work in the first place for the public initial offering? If you want to have a soft cap or a hard cap, you can include that here. Investor access and identification as well, because of course you have to make sure to know who exactly your investor is. Yeah? That is what you have to include into the token sale terms. And then maybe you know that still from the initial coin offering phase, when that was popular, everyone was talking about the white paper. Yeah, the white paper was the most important document of every ICO. In the world of security token offerings, I would say it's really better not to have any white paper. Yeah, because the only document which is legally binding and important is the prospectus. And of course, if you issue some other documents as well as marketing materials, in every single case you will have to make sure that the information provided in your marketing material is exactly what the prospectus states. Yeah? So if there's any difference between the prospectus and the marketing material, you will get into problems. Yeah? So if you still want to issue a white paper, then make sure to have it checked by a lawyer who knows about your project and understands your project. Yeah, so legally compliant marketing materials will have to be reviewed by a lawyer as well. Investor identification documentation, the acquisition process documentation, those are documents and processes you will have to set up in a legal compliant well as well. And then last but not least, the security prospectus. I already gave you the information what has to be included there. Okay, so that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Thank you very much for your attention. Here are my contact details if interested, if you have any connection to Germany. And then, yeah, if you have a question.
Yeah. Thank you. Just a question. Do you need a prospectus if your investors are very limited and you do a private placement, and then later on when you want to do an STO with a public placement, do you still need a prospectus for the private placement or not? And I have a second question now I have the mic. Do you think that Germany now is a better place to place an STO or to create a tokenized company than before, because Germany was not very popular in the last, let's say, years, opposed to Switzerland, Liechtenstein, Malta, Estonia, whatever. I'd be glad to hear your opinion on that.
Okay, thank you very much for the questions. First thing is, you have exemptions. Yeah? So a private placement, of course, would lead to the situation where you do not need a prospectus for your security token offering, but a private placement means that you cannot sell your products publicly. Yeah? So private means only if you already are in a relationship with someone, or friends and family and so on, yeah? Something like that. But as soon as you open your product to the public, then it's not a private placement anymore. Yeah. Second is other exemptions. For example, if you address not more than 150 investors, all in every single member state of the European Union, yeah, then you don't need a prospectus. Yeah. But it's not interesting. Yeah. So if someone wants to invest 50 euros, yeah, 150 persons or investors are quite fastly gained, and yeah, that is something you could of course only sell huge tickets, yeah, and then that would be not problematic. Third thing, which is really interesting to know, if you do not collect more than 100,000 euros, you don't need a prospectus because it's very small issuance, and if you only address professional investors, no retail business, only investment funds, banks, insurance companies, something like that, yeah? You wouldn't need a prospectus for that too. Okay, those are the major exemptions. And your other question was Germany as a base for security token offerings for now. I would say yes, it's common knowledge that Bafin has always had the reputation to be a very strict financial watchdog, but given that they are open-minded to these security token offerings, and it's possible to have a prospectus approved in Germany, that is fantastic, because of course it gives you the stamp of really complying with the law. Yeah? And also Germany, of course, is an interesting market because it's quite rich. Yeah, you can collect a lot of funds there. Okay? Thank you.
Yeah. Hi. I have two questions. One is that you mentioned that the issuer will always know who is the owner of the token at the time, and how will he know it? Because I thought that if you just transfer it to the wallet, how he will identify the owner of the wallet?
Yeah, okay, you have to find a solution to that as well, that's true. In the first place, well, from the legal perspective, the issuer of a security token is not required to perform a KYC AML procedure. But you still should do it just to make sure that you know who your investors are in the first place. Yeah. In the second place, you should have included a procedure for the performance of the payment, to make sure that once you want to receive the coupon of the or the interest payment, yeah, of the security, you will have to KYC yourself again. So if on the secondary market the investor has changed, this new investor would have to contact you and provide his information through a KYC procedure to make sure that he is able to get the payments.
Okay, so thank you. That was also the follow-up question that you mentioned, that you can have the smart contract. The smart contract meaning that there is, for example, automatic distribution of the dividends or yield or the bond yields. But how does that work? How does the issuer distribute the money into the network, put it in the system?
Yeah, you have many possibilities to do that. Actually, of course, when I say automated, it doesn't mean that you don't have to do anything anymore. Yeah, but of course you have to provide liquidity for the performance of the security token as an issuer. Yeah, so you can, of course, make sure that the smart contract settles everything on his own. Yeah, but still you have to provide the liquidity, and of course you have to give the information about who is the investor and what is he entitled to receive to the smart contract. So you have to feed the information into your smart contract still.
Yeah, but yeah, how do I provide if I provide the liquidity, how is the liquidity distributed with the smart contract? Do I provide the liquidity in form of
you connect your own wallet, the issuer wallet. You connect your wallet. If you want to distribute the performance of the security via cryptocurrencies, you connect your wallet. If you want to do it otherwise, for example, payments in euros, which is less convenient for you, yeah, then of course you cannot do it through the smart contract, okay, as far as I think. Yeah, so I'm not a programmer, but it works much easier with cryptocurrencies.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
What is roughly the cost of running an STO right now?
Yeah, okay, so that depends. You don't only need a lawyer, but of course, Bafin, for example, costs exactly 6,500 euros, yeah, for the approval. The lawyer, it's really hard to say because you never know how much work it is in the end, because it depends on the company history, about the shareholders. If you only have one shareholder, for example, it's much easier to draft the prospectus than for a structure of many companies behind and so on. Yeah? So really depends, but I say something in between 50 to 100k euros would be the legal fees, something like that, just to give you an idea. And then, last but not least, you will have to find someone who programs that for you. Yeah? I work together with Consensus, if your choice will be Ethereum blockchain, but there are other providers. I work with two different other blockchain programmers who can do that for other blockchain platforms like, I don't know, Stellar or Neo or whatever you want to use. And those, it's something in between. If it's really the bare minimum you want to offer, yeah, no special things, no performance, surveillance and so on, 15,000 euros, that's what I heard once, up to, yeah, open end.
Does Bafin has their own smart contract error tracking body?
No.
No?
No.
So it can happen that I want to do a STO, I find a developer, they do error in smart contract, and somebody hacks it, and then I will get a fine by Bafin or something like this.
Yeah, that is a problem, yes, of course. You have to make sure, well, you will be liable for that then, yeah, as the issuer. But that's completely normal. It happens all the time. If you issue a security in paper form and it burns where the paper is stored, then it's gone as well. It's just a new medium. It's just the digitalized security, if you want. Okay. If you have any further questions, I'll make sure to hit the whiskey bar right now. So I will be there. You can find me. Thank you very much. And yeah, see you later or tomorrow.